Hey guys, so today I have a video for if you wanted to get a £350 gaming PC. So this PC will be able to handle pretty much anything out there as long as you're okay about turning the settings down on a few of the newer games such as Crysis 3. The case we'll be using for this build is a Fractal Design Core 1000. This is a very simple case, all black, no frills. It's a micro ATX case. It has two USB 2.0s on the side as well as audio in and audio out. It's quite a small case for a micro ATX form factor, but it would fit everything that is needed, and being a small case will also make this computer good for travelling to LAN parties, and the case will cost £25. The processor we'll be using for this build is the AMD Phenom 2 X4. This is a 4-core processor clocked at 3.4 GHz. The processor was released in 2009, but it's very cheap, especially for the performance you're getting. Many games are utilizing 4-core processors, so this is a sensible choice for a processor. At only £65, it isn't surprised that it's high in the Amazon best-selling processors list. The graphics card we'll be using for this budget gaming PC will be the Sapphire AMD Radeon HD 7770. It's a 1GB card clocked at 1 GHz. It's a small graphics card with one fan for cooling. It's a great value card and can play all the newest games such as Far Cry 3 and Crysis 3 on about medium to high settings depending on which part of the game you're on. The graphics card will cost £85, which is a very good deal. For storage, we'll be using a Seagate 1TB Barracuda internal drive. This is a 7200 RPM hard drive, so it is a pretty fast hard drive. Obviously not as quick as the Western Digital Black, or certainly not as quick as an SSD, but it does the job in this budget gaming PC. Also, 1TB is enough for most people and it's plenty of room to store your programs and games. The Seagate 1TB hard drive will come at a cost of £45. The motherboard we'll be using for this build is Asus M5A78L-M/USB 3. The Asus motherboard is a micro ATX motherboard which is needed to fit in the case that we've chosen. It has 4 USB 2.0 ports and 2 USB 3.0s in the back. It also has 6 audio ports and a combined PS2 port for mouse and keyboard. It has one PCI 2.0 16 slot for the graphics card and has 6 SATA 2 ports which don't allow as much bandwidth as SATA 3 ports, but SATA 2 is fine for hard disk drives. You may want to consider motherboard with SATA 3 ports if you're planning on getting an SSD in the future. But for this build, the Asus M5A78L-M/USB 3 does the job fine and comes in at a price of only £50. The RAM we'll be using for this build is a Corsair XMS3 4GB kit. This is DDR3 RAM clocked at 1600 MHz. 4GB is enough RAM to run a computer if you're playing a game and may have a program or two open, but if you do a lot of multitasking you may want to consider the 8GB. The Corsair XMS3 4GB kit comes in at a price of £25. The power supply I've chosen for this build is a Corsair CX430. It's obviously a 430 watt power supply, and 430 watt is enough to run this build. It has a dedicated 12 volt rail and is 80 plus bronze certified. It is non-modular, which is understandable at this price point, but with that said, it has all the connections the components of this build needs and comes in at a price of £35. So all the parts add up to £350. Now the operating system comes down to your choice. You have Windows 7 priced at £55 and Windows 8 priced at £70. There are definitely advantages and disadvantages for both operating systems, but again, it comes down to what you want from the operating system, and that is down to you. So that wraps up this video. Do keep in mind that prices change. Links to all the components will be in the description, as well as some small upgrades you may want to consider, since after all this is a custom PC. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.